Welcome to our daily reflection for this Friday, November 7th. And of course, every Friday, we remember Good Friday and we want to make a sacrifice in union with Christ. We give up something, abstain from meat, or an alternate sacrifice, or give up a meal, do something that's going to really unite you to Christ. And of course, we especially do that in November, praying for our beloved dead and for the souls in purgatory. So offer those sacrifices for those who are our dearly beloved who have departed. We're praying for them. So those sacrifices can mean a lot for the souls in purgatory, going through the purgation. So please do that. That's a good thing to do. Today, Jesus talks in the gospel about a dishonest steward who's going to lose his job, and he knows that, and so he tries to win friends and influence people while he still has his position for a short while longer. And he tries to be giving and supportive to these other people that they may take care of him later on, right? So he's doing favors so that he can receive favors. And Jesus commends the steward, even though he's dishonest, for his prudence. He's thinking ahead. And so Jesus is like, you know what? Even the righteous sometimes aren't prudent in the ways of this world. And now don't get Jesus wrong. He's not commending dishonesty. In fact, we'll hear that in the follow-up to this gospel tomorrow. If you read the rest of the context, you're going to find out that Jesus is going to use irony. If you want to use your dishonest wealth to gain dishonest friends, well, they'll put you in their abodes and welcome you there, but eventually they're going to welcome you in their abode that they're going to have for all eternity. And you may not want to join them in hell. So that's going to be the point Jesus is going to get to later on in the rest of the context of chapter 16 of the Gospel of Luke. Paul in Romans is saying, look, at the end of his letter here, he's saying, I've written to you boldly in a number of ways, but it's because of the grace given to me. I've been given a great treasure. I've been given the gospel, the truth by God. And so now it's my job, my responsibility as a good steward who will be accountable to disperse this truth and to tell you the consequences of the truth and to reveal to you the fullness of the gospel, right? I can't pick and choose. You can't have a cafeteria Catholicism here. Paul has to unload the entirety of the gospel and its truth to the Romans because this is what God has given him. And he talks about this as part of his priestly service. So see that the apostles and Paul see themselves as priests. So that's an important part of the passage here. That the offering of the Gentiles may be acceptable to God. In other words, Paul wants to present the Gentiles. What he's doing here by catechizing and teaching the fullness of the gospel and challenging the Gentile church here in Rome to the fullness of the gospel and to the law of love, they will make a sacrifice of themselves. And Paul, in his priesthood, is to offer up the church, the Gentiles, to God. And he wants them to be acceptable sacrifice. And so that's why he's been bold in many, many ways. And he basically wants to speak and teach of nothing but Jesus Christ. And his boast is not in himself, but it's in Jesus Christ. It's Christ who's made the signs and wonders and the power and the Spirit evident in his ministry. And so he ascribes all the greatness and all the gifts to the Lord. And that's going to be important for Paul. And so he preaches that. And then in Psalm 98, we hear about singing a new song. Because when we hear that new gospel and the new life that Christ gives us, we sing a new song of praise and thanks to God, right? And so Paul's example for us is of a good steward who's faithful. And we'll hear about being faithful in little things and being faithful in bigger things tomorrow in the gospel. May the Lord bless and keep you.
This daily reflection is brought to you thanks to the generous support of the Mission Circle. Join the Mission Circle to help Catholics worldwide understand, live, and share their faith. Sign up at missioncircle.org today.